Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Goon here, bringing another Arsenal talk. In this Arsenal talk, I'll just cover some transfer stuff that's been coming out for the last 2 or 3 days, and it's pretty significant, I guess you can say. Of course, some Raheem Sterling stuff, some Cech stuff, and the name that came out today over the last 24 to 36 hours is Jackson Martinez. Jackson Martinez has been linked with Arsenal over the last 3 years now. 2 summers ago, last summer, and then now this summer again. But this one seems almost legit. Even last summer, Jackson Martinez was trying to make the move happen to Arsenal through sources and through searching. Supposedly he is an Arsenal fan. He grew up an Arsenal fan, following Arsenal, and it's one of his dream clubs to go to and play. And I guess last summer, he really tried to, especially with Giroud coming out, even late in the window, his name was really popping up all over the place. Of course, we got Danny Welbeck instead, but he really wants the move to happen. Even articles are saying it now, even as well. But a Portuguese newspaper, really reliable Portuguese newspaper. Of course, I don't speak Portuguese, so I can't translate it. I've been trying to find someone who has translated it. It seems like whenever a French newspaper or a German newspaper, yada yada, it seems like an Arsenal fan kind of translates it into English and tries to at least give a summary of what the news article said, but I can't find anything on it. But according to a Portuguese newspaper, that Jackson Martinez said goodbye to goodbye to the fans in his last game, and also goodbye to his teammates. That he's going to Arsenal, supposedly. Supposedly, in principle, that Arsenal and Porto have agreed upon a transfer fee, or in principle. He has a 35 million euro buyout clause. I think that's the one thing that Arsenal did not want to pay. Supposedly, that Arsenal is going to pay. It equates to about 25 to 26 million pounds for his buyout clause. But supposedly, Arsenal is going to get him for less than the 25 million pounds. Maybe 20 million pounds. I mean, that would be worth a gamble. Of course, like I said in some of my other episodes, regurgitated stories you want to try to stay away from, just because a lot of news sources don't know what to go upon for the silly season. They just keep on regurgitating stories. You've heard stories of Benzema already. You've heard stories of Julian Draxler, and you're hearing the same story again with Jackson Martinez. But this one seems to be almost legit. All the sports betting in Europe, all the sports betting websites have suspended betting on Jackson Martinez completely, of where he's going to go this summer. That's pretty significant, because usually some of those betting websites, especially the bigger ones, they usually have sources. They have a lot of good sources, and when something like that happens, it happened with Di Maria last year with United. It happened with Alexis Sanchez when he came to us. It happened with Cesc Fabregas, even Diego Costa, when news broke of their transfers. Another reliable source, the same source who broke the Alexis Sanchez that he was coming to Arsenal, even the Carlos Vela buyout clause from Real Sociedad. He's running with the story too. A lot of reliable sources, reliable news sources, are running with the story as well. Even here in the United States, ESPN is running the story too, and that's odd, because usually they always say transfer rumor, and then they, just like every other news source, they do transfer rumors to where they're not saying that this is an actual transfer rumor, that this is actually legit. So it's going to be kind of odd over the next couple weeks. Of course, Copa America starts in a couple weeks after the season ends. I believe one of the first games is somewhere in mid-June. Of course, David Ospina is Colombian. It's going to be kind of interesting to watch out what he says over the next 2-3 weeks. Is he going to say anything about Jackson Martinez? Is he going to get any type of information? Because obviously, Jackson Martinez would say something to his countrymen of saying, hey, guess what? I'm coming to Arsenal with you. I'm going to be joining you there. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out from like a David Ospina, what else comes out in the next few days about this. Jackson Martinez, he's an out-and-out striker. It's something that we desperately need. Danny Welbeck, he's not an out-and-out striker. He's so versatile. Obviously he's playing more on the wings. Even at Manchester United, he played sometimes at striker, but then he played more on the wing. And it seems like that's what route we're going to be taking with him. Of course, we were kind of in crisis once Giroud got hurt, that we just didn't have another striker on the books. Other than Yaya Sanogo, and of course we did buy Alexis Sanchez, but obviously we're just going to use him on the wing, and we're not going to use him as a striker, at least not right now. There could be a future for him at striker, we just don't know. But Jackson Martinez, the only negative about him is he's 20 years old. It doesn't seem like an Arsenal transfer to me. An Arsene Wenger type of transfer, just because he is 28 years old and what he feels about, once you get up to that 30 range. Next season he'll be 29 if Jackson Martinez comes to Arsenal. So it's going to be basically like a rental for the most part. It's not going to be one to the future. People are screaming for Lacazette. The Lyon president has been flip-flopping over the last few days. He's saying he's not going to sell Lacazette. Then he came out and said he won't accept anything, less than, say, £36 million. And he came out the next day on a news source and said he won't accept anything less than 50 million euros for Lacazette. Then there's other news sources that says Lacazette and even Fekir want to stay at Lyon for one more season. Of course, the Euros happens next year, so maybe some players want to stay at clubs that they know they're going to play, game in and game out. They're at least going to get 45 games a season, considering their domestic cups. Lyon is in Champions League now. They finished second in Liga, so those players might be thinking about it that way, that the Euros are coming up, they want to play for the national team, and again, I can't see Arsene Wenger spending £50 million on, or 50 million euros on a player who is not exactly proven, not world class yet. I think Lacazette needs to have one more great season to really solidify himself as a great striker, because you just don't want to buy someone and have him be a flash in a pan, and Jackson Martinez fits the bill of what Arsene Wenger wants out of a striker. Tall, physical, he has a ton more pace than Giroud, and he has great finishing. I think he scored 30 plus goals over his last 2 seasons with Porto. I think he has 92 goals total in his 3 seasons with Porto. He's Champions League proven. He's played in Champions League over the time that he's been with Porto. They made it to the quarterfinals this past season. Portuguese league, you could say they're the 6th or 7th best league in Europe. You could flip-flop them with the Russian league, but I think, in my opinion, the Portuguese league is probably the 6th best league in Europe. They have Benfica, they have Sporting. They might be top-heavy, just kind of like La Liga is, but at the same time, it's a good league. A lot of good players come from that league, a lot of South American players. But again, 20 years old, that's the one negative. He's going to be a rental. He's not going to be one to the future. It seems like it's legit. Other than, you look past the past 2 summers, and nothing really came out legit from Jackson Martinez. He was just a striker who scored 30 plus goals. Of course, Arsenal is always looking for a striker. You can take it as it is. Tell me what you guys think. Would you want Jackson Martinez on Arsenal? Because we definitely need another out-and-out striker, someone to test Giroud, someone to just give him a viable backup even. Someone who he can rotate with, because you're almost seeing the effects of Giroud now, of playing so many games in a row, and he just doesn't look like the Giroud that we've been seeing. So we definitely need another out-and-out striker. Yaya Sanogo comes back from loan from Crystal Palace after the season, but again, you can almost see that Yaya Sanogo, if we do get a Jackson Martinez, might go back on a loan for a full year instead of just a half a season. So it's going to be interesting over the next maybe couple weeks of what's going to come out about Jackson Martinez and if this is legit. So tell me what you guys think. Would you want a Jackson Martinez type? Because there's just not a ton of strikers out there right now to buy. It almost seems, if you're looking at the way Arsenal has been, especially under Arsene Wenger, it would almost seem like he would rather go after a younger striker, to one for the future, to take over for when Giroud starts, finally declining, which is, once you get to that 30, 31 range, even 32 range, that's when you really start to decline as a striker. Because Giroud's 28 as well. He'll be 29 next season. So it's something that you have to really look out for as well. So it's going to be interesting what comes out over the next 2 weeks about Jackson Martinez and this deal that supposedly is going to go through. Czech news. Supposedly Chelsea has given Cech's agent permission to talk to other teams. Obviously Cech wants out. He wants first team football. He only has maybe 4 or 5 years left in him of top quality goalkeeping. When a world-class goalkeeper comes available who can save you 8 to 10 points a season, you go out and get him. Like I said, David Ospina has done nothing wrong, but he's not world-class. It's going to be interesting today when you see the West Brom game. Does he start Szczesny? Does he start Szczesny in the FA Cup final? If he doesn't, if David Ospina starts today and he starts in the FA Cup final, you got to think that Szczesny is on his way out, and then one of either Cech or Casillas is coming in, because supposedly Casillas is out at Real Madrid, which is crazy to me. But again, things happen. This is football. With Real Madrid, they go after the next hot thing. David De Gea is the next hot thing. He's basically born and raised in Madrid. He came through the Atletico Madrid system, and he's the talk of the town, and that's what Real Madrid does. When a certain player comes available, or when a certain player just becomes worldly, they go after him. I mean, that's their business model at Real Madrid. That's no type of secret. So it's going to be interesting of how things drop over the next 2 or 3 weeks, because I'm thinking that Chelsea wants to get this done deal quickly rather than later on, because they're going to want to go out and try to find a new goalkeeper, at least a backup goalkeeper to Couture's. So it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks of what kind of information drops on these two players, because these seem, out of all the links, two players, these seem like the two strongest links. Of course, Morgan Schneiderlin as well is another strong link, but it seems that it has been cooling off over the last few days. So it's going to be kind of interesting of how that plays out as well. Raheem Sterling, Liverpool came out today and said that they're not going to sell Raheem Sterling, and they won't sell him for anything less than £60 million. That's just, Raheem Sterling and his agent are not doing themselves any favor. Raheem Sterling's agent came out and said he won't sign even for £900,000 a week, and he called Jamie Carragher a knob, which is hilarious. But at the same time, Raheem Sterling, they're not doing themselves any favors, but at the same time, you also have to look at Liverpool and say, what the fuck is going on up there? What's going on with that club? They don't honor contracts. With Luis Suarez ordeal, we were front and center in that thing. With him going to Arsenal, we activated his buyout clause. Liverpool didn't honor it. Agents talk, players talk. When they identify a club that doesn't honor contracts, agents are going to not tell their players to go there ever, especially if they're world class. They're not going to want to deal with a club like that. They're not going to want to deal with a club who even treats their current players like dog shit. You look at some of their contract extensions that they've done this year. I think they extended 5 guys. Jordan Henderson and Coutinho. Jordan Henderson was one that you really had to watch. For whatever reason, Liverpool dragged it out. That's your future captain. If Brendan Rodgers is going to remain the manager there, basically Jordan Henderson is going to be the captain next season. But Liverpool and the Fenway Sports Group dragged out his contract for whatever reason. It should have been a slam dunk. It should have been over and done with within, like a month or something, and they just dragged it out for an extended period of time when Henderson was coming out himself saying he wants to stay with the club, he wants to sign a new deal, he wants the deal done quickly, and it just didn't happen that way. So something's going on with Liverpool in their infrastructure that's just not good. And obviously Raheem Sterling sees this. Like I said in my winners and my previous episodes about Raheem Sterling, something's going on at Liverpool and it's just not good because their reputation right now in Europe and even in England is just not good, especially among agents and among players. I mean, look how many world-class players that they were in for last summer. How many did they get? None. So something's going on with Liverpool, the Fenway Sports Group, and what they're trying to do up there. It's almost like amateur hour at Liverpool right now. They spent £100 million last summer on crap. We spent 74.5 million pounds on two players over the last 2 summers, Ozil and Sanchez. They spent £100 million on crap, just like Tottenham did the summer prior when they let go of Bale to Real Madrid. They're walking that fine line that they're going to be basically Tottenham if they don't start playing the game like all the other clubs do, like us, like Chelsea, Manchester United, Man City. They're basically going to be stuck in Europa League for a long time and not be one of the world's elite anymore. Because they're just stuck in the past. They're trying to use the past as their stepping stone, and players don't care about that type of stuff. Yeah, you can celebrate it as a fan and all that type of stuff, but as a current player, all you care about is the present and future of a club. You don't care about the past. You don't care about what teams did 30, 40 years ago. You care about the future. And two, they can't offer. You would have thought that Liverpool could have easily signed a world-class player last summer because they were second in the league, and they could offer Champions League football. And they couldn't sign anybody worth a damn during that summer. So something's going on with their. I mean, they have a transfer committee, for Christ's sake. Who the hell has that? Most big clubs have a sporting director and a manager who work side by side to bring in the talent. In Liverpool, they have a transfer committee who makes all the decisions on transfers and even player contracts to the point that Brendan Rodgers has literally no control. He basically has, he gets dealt his players that they bring in, and he has to deal with it and defend it. It just seems like amateur hour up there at Liverpool, and there's a lot of concerns. A lot of people are bagging on Raheem Sterling and of course his agent, but sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the big picture of what this new ownership group in Liverpool has been doing over the course of two years. They've been there for 3 years. Yeah, they're making them money, but that's all they're doing really. For the most part, though, they're dragging Liverpool's name into the ground, into the mud, and it's just not good business. You look at Arsenal, you even look at Manchester United, Chelsea, Man City. They get deals done quickly. The transfer market, they get deals done quickly for the most part. They don't linger around and try to make a hassle out of it, especially with player contracts. They don't try to go round and round with agents. The last player, over the last 3 years, the only player that has caused any problems to Arsenal is Theo Walcott. That's the only player. Other than that, no other player has really caused any problems with Arsenal. Not even the agents as well. But over in Liverpool, they're causing all sorts of problems with agents, with players coming in, out. It's just a shit show up there. And if they don't correct themselves quickly, like I said, they're going to be Tottenham. and if you're a football fan, you're kind of thinking, okay, that kind of sucks. They have a historical past, tradition, blah blah blah. But at the same time, you got to laugh as well because they're doing it to themselves. They're just doing it all wrong. But this will be the end of this Arsenal talk. Um, I'll probably go more in depth after the season, like I said. But I just wanted to drop this little kind of nuggets and see what you guys think. Would you want Jackson Martinez, even though he's going to be a rental? Yes, he is an out-and-out striker. There's not many strikers out there that we can buy. There's not too many strikers out there that are proven. And everybody wants a 30 goal scorer striker. Well, Jackson Martinez is a 30 goal striker. He might not be world class. He might not be coming from a top 5 league. But will this answer? Will this solve some of our problems? Can it give more rotation? Can he be better than Giroud even possibly? These are a lot of the questions that we have to, as fans, have to ask ourselves. And is this good? Is this good business for Arsenal? Just because it will end up being a rental, it's not going to be one for the future. But yeah, this will be it. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.